Hello, amazing souls of the world. Welcome back, or welcome first-time listeners to the Thrival Journey. I'm L. Michael Burt, and we're here to explore the paths of thriving life, physically, mentally, spiritually, and financially. So today's episode speaks to the heart of our mission, finding strength in adversity, growing spiritually, and discovering our deeper purpose in life. And we'll dive into mental resilience, what it means to stay strong when life tests you, and how spiritual growth can anchor us as we navigate life's challenges. And I'm really excited to be joined by a special guest today, Denise G. She's a coach who specializes in helping leaders and solo entrepreneurs turn their challenges into transformative growth. Her approach blends with straightforward advice with empathetic guidance tailored to empower business owners to navigate their unique challenges and achieve their goals. With over a decade of experience in business coaching, she offers what I love, actionable strategies to streamline decision-making and drive success. Now, Denise is passionate about helping others tap into their inner power and live with purpose. So together, we'll explore the tools and mindset needed not only survive, but thrive in the face of adversity. Whether you're feeling stuck or searching for deeper meaning, this conversation I'm looking forward to will give you the inspiration and strategies you need to stay resilient, grow, and find your true purpose. Denise, hello.
Wow, that was a heck of an interview intro. I was like looking to the side thinking, he talking about me? That sounds pretty good. Let's get at this. I love it. I'm so glad that I'm here. Thank you so much for having me. And I know we're going to have a killer conversation.
Yeah, we'll be. And I just want to acknowledge that you are, even though we had a couple episodes before, you are our first actual guest. So you are a special guest here on the podcast. And I'm really excited. And I do truly appreciate you being here very much.
Thank you for having me again.
Absolutely. Now, I know that we talked via email, and right away, I got a great sense of who you are. You're very authentic. You're very straightforward, but cool at the same time. And I was like, man, I need to have her on the show. So I looked at a couple of different podcasts, and I kind of got the sense of who you are. And one of the questions I really have for you is, why do you do what you do?
I'm pausing, and there's two answers, right? There's the PR answer of, I'm doing this because I want to make a difference. Mm-hmm. That's the PR answer that everybody wants to hear, right? But let's get real. Let's just get real. I'm doing this because I want to remind myself where I was and where I never want to go back to again. Mm-hmm. And by sharing my experiences, strength, and hope, by sharing the tools that I learned, it always reminds me that there's always more ahead of me than behind me. And then we always have to keep it moving forward, no matter what we've gone through. And I just keep pressing through, because the more I learn, the more humble I am, the more appreciative, the more grateful, and the more we can amplify that message so that we never have to go and resort to things that make us feel belittled, beneath, and behind where we ought to grow. Because we're all in a state of growth.
Right.
And so that's the real reason. And if I keep that on the forefront of my mind, then I have no other mission, no other desire but to help spreading the word. And that's the honest to God truth.
Yeah, you know what? I actually feel that from you. I love the way that you broke it down into the PR answer, because that's kind of what goes around when you ask people, why do you do what you do? But then there's the more intrinsic answer that's real authentic to you. That's you're really sharing yourself and who you are in the world. And that really brings about your purpose and in the world.
El Michael, I think everybody, I tell this to my clients, I tell this to anyone who listens, we're all in a state of perpetual adolescence. We
Mm,
all want to be guided, nurtured, told what to do, right?
mm,
Maybe if I read What Color's Your Parachute? Maybe if I go to a Kiyosaki event, maybe what if I do all this? Maybe I'll figure out what I need to do. And basically, what we're saying is, I don't feel strong within myself to guide myself to where I know I need to be.
mm.
Everybody knows where they need to be. You don't need to necessarily be listening to me. I mean, you can listen to me all day you want. I mean, I'm here. I can give me a mic and still talk all day.
Right.
But we all have leanings, guidings, urgings. But because we feel to be ostracized, criticized, demonized, we betray ourselves daily.
Mm-hmm.
It takes bravery to listen to what you are inclined to do, what's good in you. And thank goodness, because I don't want a bunch of Denise G. Lees. I don't want clones of me everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
I want everybody to shine as who they are.
Mm. It's that unique self. And what I'm hearing is that, like, going outside of yourself to find an answer, that's not where the answer lies. It's not outside of yourself. It's within.
And that's scary, right? Because we got our mom, our cousin, Uncle Jimmy, everybody saying, well, you don't need to be doing that. Because I know somebody who lost a whole lot of money. Or I don't think you should be doing that. That's some family business. And so if we're listening to all those voices from today, yesterday, or whatever, then we're going to sit there and just shrink ourselves smaller
Mm-hmm.
and smaller and smaller. And then we're wondering why nothing ever gets done.
Mm. You know, that's deep. And with all of that, I mean, you transition. You talked about your history and that what led you to where you are now. Can you speak a little bit about that?
Ooh. I'm glad that I'm drinking coffee, because once upon a time I'd be sitting there talking with you in a coffee mug sipping vodka.
Oh, okay.
I'm going to be real with you when I say that. My history involves alcoholism. My history involves waking up in beds with people beside me that I only knew barely hours ago.
Mm-hmm.
My history involves doing things that were questionable, all because of the fact that I was betraying myself. And it started very, very, very early in my life. I am a incest survivor.
Mm-hmm.
From as long as I can remember up until 11. I was sexually, physically, emotionally abused by my mother. The betrayal started then, where I had to pretend that everything was fine.
Mm.
So for a lot of us, betrayal starts early. Self-betrayal starts early.
Right.
So you're smiling, you're putting on a mask. I smiled, I put on a mask. I got a degree I didn't believe in. I smiled and I put on a mask for 10 years in a job in corporate America, doing something that only just nurtured my anxiety and my worries. And it wasn't until I was actually at the brink of being fired that my husband at the time said, you got to quit. You're going to lose your mind. You have to quit. Then I betrayed myself again and started a personal training business. Although I do exercise, I still do. I'm a believer in fitness. I was not being authentic to who I was again. So it wasn't until I finally said, well, what does Denise really want? And then I started doing business coaching. I transitioned out of personal training business coaching because I was like, well, I just know corporate America, so I'll just, lean in deeper. And Michael, I remember I was in a marketing coaching group and I was showing my sales coach, my sales pages. And he said, this sounds like life coaching. And I said, what are you talking about? I'm talking to business owners. I'm like, no, Denise, you're talking about life issues all throughout your copy. When I say copy, the written material.
Mm-hmm.
And I saw it, Michael, I stopped and I looked at it and I was like, Denise is trying to tell Denise what she wants to do. Are you willing to be honest and brave enough? Because I was thinking, there's so many executive life coaches out there. Oh, I can't do that anymore. Oh, nobody's talking about trauma addiction. No, everybody wants to run away from all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
They cry their eyes out watching Oprah enough. They don't want to do any of that mess anymore, right? And then I had to be honest with myself, and I said, you know what? I can continue living. I was 38 at the time. I can continue living my life, trying to fit in, trying to do what I thought was more appropriate. Mm-hmm. Or I could just jump into the unknown and say, you know, whatever happens, happens. But at least I went down trying.
Right. You know, that's extraordinary that everything that you just, excuse me, explained and shared with us. What was that thing, like you were dealing with trauma from the age of 11. Mm-hmm. You went through this life where it sounds to me like it was just pretending, and you were just trying to keep up with the pretense of who you were in the world. But then there was a shift from pretending who you were to being authentic to who you are. What was that shift? What would change, and what could you tell someone or show someone and how to actually make that shift?
So I'm a recovering alcoholic, and I remember when I was in talking with my first sponsor, and she said to me, you know, Denise, you're going to have to hit a bottom. Mm. And I thought, I'm already in a bottom. I'm afraid of losing my job. Mm-hmm. I'm having, you know, random guys bang on my door, right? This is before I got married. I knew things were bad. Okay. Mm-hmm. Isn't that my bottom? And she was like, no, Denise, that's not your bottom. I knew, El Michael, my bottom was when I didn't even care how messy and nasty I looked. I just needed to get better. Mm-hmm. And that bottom looks differently for everybody.
Right, exactly.
For me, my bottom came to the point where I was done wearing hair extensions. I'm just going to show a big old afro. Mm-hmm. Yep. I knew I was hitting bottom when I didn't feel the need to dress up in a certain way because I was done trying to impress people who didn't care if I lived or died in that moment because I wasn't giving them what they wanted. Mm-hmm. Everybody needs to find that bottom where they wake up and they realize, wait a minute, I'm not even living for me anymore. Right. I mean, I talk to so many people. They got heart problems. They're insomniac. They got neck, back pain. And then they're like, everything's going well. But then I ask a question. So how you feeling about your job? How are you feeling about some relatives? And you could tell things are tensed up. And then they say smile and they have a forced smile. Everything's fine. Everything's fine. For me, my bottom hit when I was not tired of betraying myself.
Got it. You know, it's so funny because, not funny, haha, but funny to the where, like when you're sharing what that transition was for you, for me, like it was my health, you know, losing my kidney and getting cancer and all that kind of stuff. I was like, the life that I used to live kind of led to the issues that I have now, but this is not who I am. And I had to find myself within that bottom as well. And so that was a transition for me as well, because I was an athlete, I was working out, I was always healthy. And then boom, you know? And so I had to make that transition for myself, but I was living for something else, a portrayal of who I was, but not the actual authentic self of who I am.
You know, I'm not a big football fan. But I found myself last night watching Thursday Night Football, Jets versus New England Patriots.
Oh yeah.
And what happened to me was there's the butt crack of the NFL. The Chicago Bears, yeah. Right? The Detroit Lions, yep. And the New York Jets.
Yep.
But here I am watching, it was first quarter, and I saw Jets was 14, Patriots 0. I'm like, what is this? Mm-hmm. What is this? And it was led by the quote unquote, oh, I forgot that guy's name. Number 8, I think Adams, I forgot his name, on the quarterback on the Jets. What's his name?
I don't remember.
Okay. Y'all gonna forgive us as you listen to this later.
Listen to this, yeah. I'm not a Jets fan.
Anyway, yeah, I know, for good reason, right? Ain't nobody no Jets fan, right? But the point I'm trying, this is all gonna make sense. Just flow with me on the story, okay? Right. So I'm sitting there and I'm watching what I think is the butt crack of the NFL crush the New England Patriots. Tom Brady's gone. Yes, and I thought they ain't gonna do enough. Like, Patriots still got that energy going. They're gonna do good. And the people you thought would had nothing were just slaying it. I think they ended the game like 26-4 or something like that. Like, they just wiped the floor with them. And the point I'm trying to make is, once you got beaten but so down so long, you got to rise up and ask yourself, I can't go out like this. I got to make some pivots. I got to switch up my roster. I got to get some MVPs in. I got to recruit some other folks. I got to integrate some new fresh blood. And sometimes you're going to have to bleed out a lot before you rise up. And like you telling your story about losing your kidney, having all these health problems, you had to bleed out before you got out.
Right. Right. And in that, I mean, in that space, like, this is where you really find yourself. You know, sometimes it takes what it took for me or for you to find yourself.
Yeah, I think everybody wants this soft bottom, right? Where you feel a little uncomfortable, and then suddenly you just have an epiphany, and then you rise up high, and then you just jumping from mountaintop to mountaintop to mountaintop. But growth happens in the valleys, y'all.
Right.
Growth happens in the dark places nobody can see. That's where you get the reps in. That's where you feel this, you're testing your real mettle, not when you cruising high.
Right.
And don't let anybody lie to you when you see them on TV and they talk about what they're doing and how famous they are and what they've got going on. They're never going to tell you all their L's.
Right. Right.
Babe Ruth, home run king, strikeout king. Nobody wants to talk about the L's, but that's part of the process. That's what resiliency is owning your L's just as much as you get your W's.
And to that fact, like, how, when you're talking about the resilience, and that's really, we're talking about mental resilience and spiritual growth, how does that play a role in how you, as a business coach or actually a life coach, how does that play a role in being the life coach?
So there's the things I tell other people, and there's the things I tell myself. And because on the surface, we're like, well, you're just going to have to tough it through, or just know that there's going to be season, you're going to grow through it, and it's all going to be all well, and you just need to, like, that's the PR message, right?
Right.
So let's sweep the PR message. Let's talk about those moments where you're putting out tons of content and you get 0 views. Let's talk about paying all these services and you're barely getting a fraction of your money back. Let's talk about getting nasty emails from clients, even though you knew you did your best work, and they're trying to cash in on your money back guarantee. Let's talk about all of that, because that's the real stuff that business owners need to talk about. Because when we're talking about resiliency, right, we're not just talking about just hoping you'll make cash flow, right? There's the nuance, hoping that your partner will still look at you the right way when you come home after you've been working 12-hour days. Let's talk about what that really looks like, right? And I'm not going to sit here and lie and patronize everybody and say, well, everything's just seasonalities, right? Because from some people, that season's 12 years. For that people, that season was 20 years, right? It's all about how you frame the situation that matters. Now, if I'm framing the situation as, let's just get this done quick, no, I'm going to feel resentful. I'm going to feel angry. I'm going to feel irritated because it's on my time frame. But if I'm framing it from an attitude of gratitude, man, I may not have gotten all this, but I sure learned a lot. Man, I didn't see that one coming with this unexpected bill, but now I know how to put some more money in reserve.
Right.
So resiliency isn't so much how you do it, but why you do it, and understanding the fact that there's always more ahead than behind. As long as you got breath, you got purpose.
Amazing souls. Today's episode is brought to you by our sponsor, Orion's Health. Now, we're excited to introduce you to an incredible health and wellness brand that's transforming lives. Live good. At Orion's Health, we're committed to providing you with the best products for a healthier, happier you. That's why we partner with Live Good, a brand known for its premium science-backed wellness products that you can actually afford. Whether you're looking for the best in supplements, personal care, or health support, Live Good has something for everyone. Now, I have a few personal favorites of my own, from the mushroom organic coffee to the organic super reds and the organic super greens, which are all pretty delicious. Now, you can join the Live Good movement through Orion's Health in 3 easy ways. 1, become a retail customer. Try out any of the high quality products with no commitment at all. 2, become a member for just $9.95 a month. You can save up to 90% retail on all Live Good products, making your wellness journey affordable and accessible. Or 3, become an affiliate. Want to make some extra income? Join Live Good as an affiliate and get paid while helping others discover better health. Now, the best part of it all, by supporting Orion's Health and Live Good, you're directly helping to support this podcast and allowing us to bring you more valuable content week after week. So whether you're looking to feel better, save money, or even make money and save money at the same time, Orion's Health and Live Good, we've got you covered. Now, head over to the website on Orion's Health's page to learn more and start your journey with Live Good today. The links will be in the description of the show. Remember, your health is your greatest asset. Take one step today with Orion's Health and Live Good. And thank you for supporting this podcast. Now back to it. That's powerful. As long as you got breath, you got purpose. When someone's in that space, though, how do they connect to that world? Like, I'm struggling, I'm hurting, I can't reach this goal, I can't get to that goal. But there's what you just said. When you got breath, you got purpose. How does somebody connect to that when they're in a space that's dire to them?
Okay, so this is where it gets complicated, y'all. This is where it gets complicated. Because as much as I would love to say, just think positive things, keep an affirmation, your vision board, and stare at your vision board, it's a little bit deeper than that, okay? For some of you, got like El Michael, you shared your health situation. For some of us, our pain is causing us to not think straight. Some of us, we're living in a dangerous environment. I was talking the other day with a client. He lives in Queens. There's a lot of stuff going down in his specific area in Queens. When you're hearing gunshots outside your house, it's hard to think positive when you think a bullet might graze past your door.
Right, of course. Yes, that environment.
All right. For some of us, we got a sick relative that we got living with us. Or maybe we've got mounting bills that we get emails. We got phone calls. So I want everybody listening to understand that it's not always as simple as like, okay, just think positively when your body's acting up. You live in an unsafe environment. You've got unfinished business. Okay? I'm not even going to sit here and deny and negate any of that. Because I want everyone to understand that I understand the world will keep spinning no matter what you're feeling. But what I will say is this. Instead of us thinking behind, right, about all the stuff we did, or thinking forward, all the things we have to do, I want us to understand what's happening right now in this conversation. As you're listening to every word I have to say, I don't care what's going to happen 15 minutes from now. I don't care what you did 15 minutes ago. In this present moment, can you fully realize who you are? All right. And what is within your power right now? You have the power to listen to me. You could be sitting there on Instagram watching cat videos, But you decided to sit here and listen to this, right? So that's choosing to step forward towards who you are, right? So in that present moment, I want you to hit the pause button and think about what's the best step I can do right now. What's the best step I can do in this present moment? And for what some of us is just having gratitude. For other of us is being humble. For other of us is being creative. But you've got that choice. And when you get fixated on all the things that are going wrong, your body aches, you're saying, I want to deprive myself of my personal power of the now.
Mm. You know, that's really great, because what I'm hearing is that it's a state of being. Like, you can be worrying about who you've been. You could stress about what's to come. But if you bring yourself to the present of your purpose, if you know your purpose, or even if you don't, but if you're staying in the now and being who you are in that moment, you have the power to choose. Like, even in the crazy environment, you have the power to choose to say, you know, this is who I'm going to be right now, and this is who the next step I need to take to move forward towards my purpose, or towards whatever step I need to do to make my business go to a next level, or whatever it may be.
You know, you're absolutely right, Michael, because, you know, I think we live in a society has been trained on the Insta, right?
Oh, yeah.
Stuff that ain't arriving in 2 days. I'm going to cancel that order. Stuff that,
right.
Look, we came from our grandparents, you were happy as stuff arrived in 2 weeks. You were
right.
like, score, 2 weeks? We lose our mind if it ain't arriving within 2 days.
Yeah.
We getting instant notifications buzzing on our watches, things are popping up on our phone. We have trained ourselves out of how our prior generations lived for a millennia. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
we're just only we're in the agricultural age, right? That's only 5% of our existence of Homo sapiens.
Okay.
And so for a lot of us, we have quickly fell out of the natural rhythm of it is to live life. Things are slow and intentional by design. Our nervous system was never meant to hurry up and put pep in our step. Was never designed to be that way. And so maybe we need to go back, and have some newfound appreciation for the little simple things. Man, I can go to a store and pick up clothes. I don't have to sew clothes. Mm-hmm. I don't have to go outside and till land.
Mm-hmm.
And we worrying about how many followers we have on TikTok. What is this, y'all?
Mm-hmm.
What is this?
You know, it's so great, because what it seems like is, like, you're speaking to the outside influences that can kind of stunt your mental resilience to life, and what it's intended, or how it's intended for us to live, or it can stop the spiritual growth that really moves us forward or upward in our lives.
I think you're absolutely right. I think our modern culture has pulled in the ultimate okie doke on us. The ultimate okie doke. I'm going back to that game I was telling you I was watching yesterday. I could not believe how many times I watched Shaq and Snoop Dogg hawking products. I needed to gamble. I needed to go to Applebee's. I needed to go buy NFL merch.
Yeah.
And then don't worry, I got my Amazon Fire Stick, so don't worry, if I'm too lazy to grab my phone, I can just hit a button and it'll add to the cart. Do you realize how we're being stunted in that moment to think that we need stuff instantaneously, and we don't even have to think through the logic of whether or not we even need something? So how in the world can we be resilient and have patience when we're being guided towards impulsivity? And recognizing the okie doke in the process. Because it's the okie doke. We're being conned, and we're just not grinning and nodding our head and say, that's good entertainment.
And what can somebody do, like, in that space? It's almost like we're blinded, right? We're blinded to what that is. We're deaf to what it is, and we're just in what we're being guided towards. How can we then like get out of that, acknowledge where we are, so that we can start living in a different way where it's healthy for our minds and our spirits?
El Michael, I'm gonna make some people mad when I say this.
Go
I'm
ahead.
gonna
It's
have
okay.
some. I'm feeling the butt cheeks clenching and the
Uh-oh.
jaws tightening as I'm about to say this. So everyone's gonna brace for impact as what I'm about to say. But some of y'all need a social media fast, electronics fast for real,
Mm,
for real. And for some of you guys, you're like, no, I can't do
mm,
that. I can't do that. I got people who notify me. I got all this stuff that I'm like, the world will spin on. You don't need to know what's trending. You don't need to know, because like what? As we're recording this is September 20th, 2024. I don't need to know who's trending, Kamala Harris or Trump. I don't care about none of them jokers, actually. But that's beside the point. I'm just gonna say.
That's a sidebar.
I'm sidebar. The point I'm trying to make here is that for you, some of you guys, the reason why you feel so stressed is you're connected to things that are tearing away from your soul. Put the devices down. If you can't do a day, try half a day. Okay, you can't do a half a day. Try an hour. Turn off that stuff. And if you looking like a crack addict, twitching, right after even a half an hour, that tells you that your body is neurologically addicted to things that are tearing apart your soul. And no wonder why you're not achieving and you're feeling stressed. So tear away the things that are tearing away from your soul. I'm going, after I'm done with this interview, I'm going on a fast myself. I'm going to disconnect all my stuff, and I'm going to pick up a book, a real book, a mystery book. I love me some mystery books. And I'm just going to dive right into it. Because you know what? I already have everything scheduled out. I already have everything itemized on my electronic calendar that will alert me when my fast is over. Some of you guys need to plan in your fast. I hear from Michael. I hear people say, well, I have a breakdown and I decided to put my computer down. I don't want to take a rest. Why did you have to wait down to your breakdown for you to decide that you needed to come apart from that? Why did you need to wait into crisis mode? We need to pre-plan our rest. Pre-plan, just like we go exercising, right? We need to pre-plan the things that rejuvenates us. Yeah.
No, that's the word I was thinking of. As you were speaking about the break, like I remember earlier when I was dealing with my health, I didn't go. I mean, I was done with Instagram, Facebook, whatever, and for a couple of years, few years. And when I got back on, friends that I knew in person that were all on my Facebook, like, where you been? What's going on we didn't know what's going on with you. But I mean, being, on TV and all that kind of stuff, like, it's just like, where'd you go? And I got back on and slowly it enraptured me. And then the newest device I got, which is probably later than anybody else, was this doggone thing right here on my wrist. And I recognized that I was wearing this all the time because I was like, oh, I want to know what my steps are. I want to know what my heart rate is. I want to know all this kind of stuff. And then it almost became a permanent wrist apparatus. Like I almost didn't take it off. And then when I did take it off, I could see the imprint. I was like, all right.
Yeah.
I wasn't thinking about what this thing does to me or what it would do to me before I even got it. And then all of a sudden, a special came on. I'll get this for $150 off or whatever it was. I was like, oh, okay. Well, let me go get that because I didn't really need it, but I wanted it because it was like an advertisement that kind of guided me to get it. And then here I am and basically caught up with this watch that tells me all this stuff. But then I was like, one day I was just laying down. I was like, I don't want this on my wrist anymore. So I took it off for like 2 or 3 weeks. So, but I know now that I can break away from it when I just want to take it off because it was mentally. I didn't know that I was doing this to mentally. It was just kind of taking over, just my thought process of wearing a watch that tells me my steps or my heartbeat or all this kind of all that jazz, and I just had to break it.
It's so crazy, Michael. I mean, most of us are not exercising, right? But those of us who are exercising, we go in like above and beyond. I remember I was looking at my watch the other day, and it was like, Denise, you walk about 7 miles a day. I'm like, what? But I'm still looking obsessively at it, right?
At the watch,
but
yeah.
I've trained my body to do what it needs, and it goes on autopilot. So basically what I'm saying is, I don't trust my body. I trust some electronic leash over what my body is telling me.
Mm-hmm. And that was the what do I call the trap that I was in, and I had to get out of it. And it was just simply by taking it off, leaving it off for a little while. And so it's amazing how people they deal with that, but they don't know that they're dealing with that. Like and here's the question I have for you. What are some of the common signs that someone has when they're caught up in that and they need to break out for their mental health and their spiritual growth?
There's a lot of signs. There's the obvious is denial, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's not just a river in Africa. When everybody is telling you there's something wrong, right? And even when you're seeing signs like, Michael, you said, I see an imprint. Oh no, maybe it was because it was the watch was on too tight. No, because you were wearing it too long.
Too much. It was too much.
Yo. There's the other ones are you are going in a completely different direction from what you said you were doing, right? For example, oh gosh, I got so many examples. Let me just find one. I remember I was talking with this dude, and he said that he was interested in selling merch, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then he told me, well, I was on Insta and I saw somebody saying that I can make more money if I also sell coaching too. I said, wait a minute. I thought you were doing merchandising, right? Why are you moving into consulting work, right? He said, well, I thought that people see me. They would feel more trust in my merch, right? I'm like, well, why do you feel that way? And then that brings me to fear of missing out. Mm-hmm. If you're feeling fear of missing out, you're automatically on the road to betraying yourself and going down to things that will actually make you feel miserable. Fear, right? Mm-hmm. There's this other little sneaky monster. It's called envy. Envy, right? When we're thinking that everybody else got more. I'm thinking about one particular client who lost over $2 million in the span of a couple of years because he thought like he had to make more aggressive moves to have a higher portfolio than other people who said they had bigger accounts. He didn't even know how much money they had. It's not like they had access to the Charles Schwab accounts they can open up and see what these people say. I just made all this money. And you believe in that? And you're risking your own money to catch up to people on what they're claiming? Mm-hmm. Envy will do some sneaky stuff to you. So when you find yourself staring at somebody else's lawn while your grass is going brittle and gray and dying, when you're feeling anxious and worried and nervous, but you so preoccupied with what other people are doing, that's a sign you're going down the wrong road too.
So I got FOMO, fear of missing out, envy, and what was the one before that?
All right, fear. Well, fear. Okay. Fear of missing out is more favorite. I guess the other is lack of trust in yourself, right? Lack of trust in your own plan. So that's what triggers the fear, right?
Right.
Because you're lacking confidence in yourself.
That's great. So we got lack of trusting yourself, fear of missing out, and envy.
Yeah.
Now, these are things that you talk to your clients about, and when they come to you with these kind of issues, which is extraordinary. And how does that help them in shifting their mindset, or grow them spiritually, so that they can really begin to grow their business in the way that they see fit, authentically and otherwise?
I'm not a big horticulturalist, arborist, but I find very fascinating about how trees grow. And you know how you could tell if a tree is growing strong where there's no sprouts out, it goes straight up and then
Hmm.
it just flowers. But then you know when a tree is starting to look diseased, when you see a little rot on the bottom, you're seeing the little sprouts come out, you're seeing some things a little, or it's shifting in a weird direction because of either wind or some other pests or something nibbling at it. So the answer to your question is, let's check the foundation. When there's
Mm.
fear, when there's FOMO, when there's lack of confidence, there's some root issue that's off. And it's rarely connected to the present. It's always the past. It's about when you were talking with your father about your business plans and he said that was stupid. Cause and he didn't even want to do no research. I'm not saying you, Elmac. I'm just saying,
No,
speaking
yeah.
in generalities. You're like, how do you know my business? I don't know your business. I
I just
don't
had
know
a,
your business.
I just had a conversation with my dad yesterday. Like,
I don't
no.
know your business. Look, it comes when we start buying crap because somebody we thought was an influencer told us to do it, but we never even checked in with ourselves and thought, does my bank account agree with this?
Hmm.
It starts when we are chasing things that are on Google Trends, but never even asking ourselves, is this aligned with our business values, right? So when I talk with my clients about these root issues, we can make sure that their tree of business, their tree of life grows up high and strong the way it needs to be. And we treat the infections. We cut off the sprouts that are going off. We scatter away all the rodents and the creatures that are coming around it. Because in order to go high, you have to go deep. And
Mm.
when those roots are rotten, we need to do some investigating.
That's great. And in that experience as a business coach, like, what are the struggles that they face trying to build their business when they're basically, the roots are not really ready, or they're rotten, so to speak?
I'm going to be honest with you. 90% of y'all ain't going to make it 5 years. And whatever you're doing, you might be skipping around. You've gone from selling shoes to cleaning windows. I don't know. Just everyone's going to be hopping around. And that's normal in the course of being an entrepreneur. I told
Hmm.
I told in the conversation, I said I started off doing personal training, right? I'm
Right.
not in the beginning of where I was, right? And so there's going to be some learning curves. There's going to be some scrapes. There's going to be pivots. That's normal, right? So I want everybody who's listening to this to understand that just because you're doing this right now doesn't mean that this is going to be the end. A lot of y'all are going to be pivoting. And that's
Right.
part of the growth. That's part of the learning process. Okay. A lot of you guys may not be able to survive because you're fearing and investing because you don't trust in yourself. You're not investing in resources and tools, or you may be investing in gimmicks online,
Hmm.
and that's going to cause you to slip and stumble, and that's okay. Maybe you invested in a lot of people who didn't know what the hell they were talking about, and
Hmm.
then you feel jaded. I
Hmm.
know we probably could devote a whole hour just talking about dealing with people for an hour,
Yeah.
maybe a five-side chat.
That's another show. We'll invite you back.
Yo, that's a conversation, right? Within itself, right? So
Yeah.
I'm mentioning all this to say that if you are brave enough to go through all the pivots, if you are brave enough to work through the betrayal issues, with being betrayed by other people, your expectations, right? Getting in line with what's new. Like every day I wake up, well, Mike, I'm thinking, how can I expect less of myself and others? And that's kind of weird, right? Because we're supposed to expect high of ourselves and others, right?
Right.
But when I'm expecting, I'm a human being, I'm fallible. I'm going to make mistakes. And if I'm thinking perfection in an imperfect world, I'm setting myself up for heartache and stress and overwhelm.
Yeah.
But if I'm like taking it moment by moment, doing the best I can, progress, not perfection, that's the aim. And so in order to grow, in order to pivot, in order for us to do what we need to do, again, it goes back to what I said in the beginning, like, what's the best step I can do right now? Let's break everything down to just the micro level.
Yeah. I think one of the I heard everything that you said, but what stuck out to me, and that may stick out to other entrepreneurs or people who are, wanting to go higher in their career or want to find love or whatever it may be. Progress over perfection will bring you closer to whatever your goal is or whatever the next step is or whatever next level is that you've created for yourself. And I think that when you look at the progress that you've made, you can really start to, be glad about what you've done, tap yourself on the back and say, you know what, I can go further. So I don't have to lose myself in the social media, the golden ticket over here, but then the golden ticket's over there and all that stuff that kind of messes up our mind and makes us feel like we're lost on the journey.
So so El Michael was hard, right? Because at one point, right, we actually need to be hip to what's going on, right? Because we can't be totally disconnected.
Right.
But then we also have to stay true to ourselves, right?
Right.
So I'm not going to sit here and say to y'all, just bury your head in the sand and just keep plowing for you'll figure it out. That's ridiculous. I'm not even going to sit here.
That doesn't work.
I've always had the mindset of, let me just tell a story. I think it's better if I tell a story. So a farmer decided to enroll his mule in the Kentucky Derby. And he knew he had a big old ugly mule, and he knew his mule was competing against all these thoroughbreds, right? Mm-hmm. And somebody came up to him like, yo, that's a mule, you know that, right? You can't, why are you trying to have him run against all these thoroughbreds? He was like, I just thought the exposure would do him good. Maybe for some of y'all, you ain't ready to run the Kentucky Derby.
Okay.
But getting up alongside somebody who's actually doing it the way you want it to be done, ethically, with integrity, with honesty, with humility, maybe you need to come up under them for a minute. Nobody's telling you to mimic what they're doing, but mimic the attitude of how they're doing it. Mm-hmm. And there's no way you can lose in life as long as you're staying true to your values and being consistent. Most people fail in life because they just aren't consistent, Michael.
Yeah.
It takes 10,000 hours, 5 years to get something done right, to move from novice to proficient, albeit even expert level, depending on what you're doing. It was in the Blink, Malcolm Gladwell, one of them Gladwell books. Anyway, Malcolm Gladwell books. The point I'm trying to make here is that some of y'all quit before you even start. You're like, oh crap, this looks hard. Oh crap, I gotta invest money. Oh crap, this takes time. I'm like, but you invested the money to get your smartphone, your $1,000 smartphone. You invested the time to upload your website. Take that same energy into how you build your business. If you can invest in small little things, you are a big project.
Right.
Ask yourself the project that is you. It's going to be ongoing.
Invest in a project that's you. That's really big, because I think a lot of people that are entrepreneurs, they're looking at what other people have done and been invited to, or you can make money do this in doing this, but it's not who they are authentically, or they're not really connected to that project or that thing. And then they end up skipping around and going to other things. And I think that's really key, is especially for who you are mentally and spiritually, connect to that thing that's you, that will let you shine, that will let you be, a megaphone of your life in the world. And so that's really great. Now, can you share like just a success story where your coaching helped someone discover their greatness, their purpose, and where they're building their minds and their spirits, and just as a success story?
Oh yeah, I'm thinking about a client. One of my early clients. Her name was Christine, and she is a widow. She's a widow, and she had her. I don't. Have you ever heard of Line-X? It's basically like this coating they put on the flatbeds of trucks. And anyway, so she just sell this industrial paint that goes on liners of trucks and whatever. And she had this business, and she was like, I think I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm connected to this business that I'm not even like, it was my husband's business. I don't know if I just need to sell everything and just move on with my life and try figure all things together. And we had this conversation. We had many conversations over the course of our coaching. I said, you know what? The reason why you want to give up is because you've lost your sense of why. You're providing equipment to people that provides livelihood. You're providing equipment to people that helps improve safety. You're providing equipment to people that helps improve the quality of how they do work. By you quitting on them, you're quitting on purpose for other people. And that's a heavy, heavy thing to hold on to.
Yeah, it is.
You wanna quit on that? Or are you more attached to your feelings of pity because the husband you thought was going to take care of it was going to do it in perpetuity, in depth too? But that season has changed. Maybe universe, she's not a Christian. I just said universe. Universe is showing to you that it's time for you to realize how your purpose helps other people find their purpose and helps provide safety. And I was just so happy at the end of our relationship. Not only was she able to maintain the business on her own, she actually merged with another business owner to forge forces and continue selling Line-X products. And that just really made me happy, because it wasn't about so much that she didn't sell the business. It was the fact that she understood that what she was doing was providing service to the community.
Mm-hmm. That is a great why. And I know for me, my why keeps me going into things that I create, especially, starting this podcast and things of this nature. Like, my why gets me connected to my purpose. Even when those days are like, I don't feel like doing this no more. Oh, I can't do it because this is not happening the way I want it to. And thank you for sharing that, because I think it's really, it should be prevalent in people's minds when they go off and start a business or whatever it may be. Like, what is your why? And I could see that you are a great coach, a magnificent human being, very authentic and very real. And I mean, this first conversation is really great. And I want to go ahead and I could sit here and talk to you forever, but I want to be cognizant of your time. And so I came up with this thing that I want to always ask my guest, the very last question. It'll probably change over time, but and I have a question here that I've typed up.
Mm-hmm.
Was two, but I'm trying to figure out which one I want to ask. Okay, let me try this one there. If someone's listening today and standing at the crossroads of their life, unsure of how to move forward and struggling to find their purpose, and what is one powerful piece of wisdom or a question they can ask themselves right now that could shift their perspective, and help them take the first step toward their purpose within mental resilience and spiritual growth.
I know we just talked about why. Why, right?
Which is why I asked that question.
Right. But actually, I want to flip it and say, how? How do you want your legacy to be remembered? And I want to ask who will carry your message forward? Because whether or not we want to acknowledge it, even on our darkest days, somebody's watching us. Even on our darkest moments, something of our life is being recorded. We drop dead right now, somebody's going to come through and examine our belongings. We're leaving a trail, physically, electronically, and it's telling a story. And that story is either going to be of resilience, compassion, humility, understanding, or regret, self-pity, fear, and remorse. And the crumbs that we leave show us how a life should be lived. So as people are listening to this, I want us to understand that no matter how you feel, eyes are watching. Do you want it watching with a spirit of hope and inspiration, or fear and regret? The choice is yours.
Denise, thank you. Who you've been in this last within this last hour has been extraordinary, and I think that anybody that connects with you, whether you coach them in the business or however, it's a gift, and so I appreciate you and thank you. Now, how do people get connected to you?
Yeah, the best place, thank you for asking. The best place, really, my hub is my website, Denise G. Lee, all one word, DenisegLee. I'm like struggling to pronounce my own name.
See that?
Right? So, I mean, I tell you that I'm a prolific writer. I got tons of stuff I've read. You can access my podcast, The Introvert Entrepreneur, all that fun stuff. All can be found on my website.
Okay, cool. And what I'm going to do is connect that in my main write up in the description, and that will be spread across all the different avenues that this podcast is on. And I want to make sure that people know that you have a 6-month private coaching program called Royalty, which focuses on helping, like I said in the beginning of the podcast, helping 6-figure business owners navigate personal and personal growth. Do you want to speak a little bit on that before we end, or?
Yeah, I'll speak about it. I mean, I'm not trying to sell nothing here. I just want to get some information out about resiliency. But I appreciate it. I mean, for a lot of us, I kind of mentioned it earlier in our time with one another, where we have a lot of messages from our childhood, culture, society that creates our life script. For better, for worse, it influences how we interact with other people on a personal and professional level. So the first job that I do with everybody is understanding their life script, because for a lot of us, we're just going autopilot, repeating things and customs that aren't even really connected to who we are. Once we understand that, we can actually formulate a plan of who we want to be, and actually create short-term and long-term goals that will guide us. And then it will also tag along with some business goals that will help marry the personal with the professional life. And that's over a course of 20 sessions in 6 months. And I do that via video. I'm a virtual coach. I don't do in person. And there's a lot of other little things, but that's just the overall, is that you understanding who you are, and you're getting access to me and my coaching library to help assist you in that process.
Perfect. And again, I'll have all that information within the description, and just make sure you check it out. Denise G. Lee, you have been extraordinary, and I do appreciate you once again, just for really being our first guest here on the Thrival Journey. And I mean, I can praise you through some more time, but that's it. So thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. It's been such a pleasure.
Absolutely. All right. Until next time, hey, keep being amazing. Take care.